New York is up in the news again. The ever consistent, ever falling apart cannabis rollout. So now the New York government and the governor, Kathy Hochul, are very, very busy rehauling the state's cannabis program in order to combat the illicit market, right? So they've been handing out licenses. They were real slow to do up front. Now they're trying to catch up. They've been handing licenses out to businesses up and down the supply chain. It's almost 700 so far just this year. But those businesses might be getting set up to fail before they even begin by being loaded up with predatory loans. So New York, right? It's got such social equity at the core of its cannabis program. So they're trying to give people a leg up in New York who were negatively affected by racially discriminatory drug laws, this war on drugs, right? So they want to give these people the first crack at the market before big multi-state operators come in and start making all the money. But these are everyday folks, right? So you got to remember, most of them probably don't have the funds to open up or operate a big business like this, and they don't necessarily qualify for standard business loans, especially if they got a record. So the state decided they were going to start this big, huge $200 million fund that was going to find and lease dispensary locations for these business owners, and then give these business owners a loan to cover the construction and all the startup costs. So the state decided they were going to put in $50 million of their own money and then fill the rest of that fund with private funding, private equity. After a year of failed attempts to get somebody to kind of throw the money in there, Kathy Hochul's office decided the only way to fulfill that promise was to sign a deal with Chicago Atlantic Group. It's a private real estate investment group that stepped in to kind of fill the void here. But the media recently got a hold of the contract the state signed with these guys, and looking through it, there are so many provisions that benefit that company, Chicago Atlantic, that it pretty much amounts to a sweetheart deal, and it's chock full of predatory lending. So the state pretty much said that the Chicago Atlantic Group is guaranteed a 15% return on its investment. Even if every dispensary in the state fails and they can't pay back their loan, the state will pay them back 15% on their money. So that means the taxpayers are pretty much covering these loans here. And these loans are huge. They're up to $2 million. That's based on outlandish revenue predictions for these businesses, especially when illegal businesses are out there kind of scooping all the money up. There's no way they're going to hit those numbers. And so these people are, they're being handed loans with these huge, high interest rates, strict repayment means, heavily inflated construction costs, heavily inflated real estate prices, and they don't have a say at all in this matter. The state figures it out, Chicago Atlantic figures it out, and they hand these people the bill, and they're expected just to pay. And experts are saying a lot of these people are not going to be able to repay these loans. There's going to be a lot of defaults coming up in the near future. Like this guy, Keith DeLassio. Okay, so he has a pet store in Astoria. He wants to open up a dispensary. So he signed up for the program. His loan to cover construction was for $1.6 million. Keith didn't have a say in the location or what the building was going to be. That was all handled by Chicago Atlantic. He just has to foot the bill. So they gave him the bill. He found out, though, that the subcontractor building his dispensary only charged $250,000 for the building. So those criminally inflated numbers mean that Keith is taking money out of his bank account to line Chicago Atlantic's pockets with the rest of that $1,350,000, not including interest. Are you kidding me? So Keith just walked away, and that building sits empty to today. And a lot of insider emails have been discovered that have been surrounding this deal, and there are flags being thrown on the play left and right this whole time they were trying to decide this. People are saying it's a bad deal, don't sign it. They're pointing at these inflated construction costs, inflated real estate costs, and high potential for defaulting on these loans. Not to mention that the fund that's supposed to supply the money for this whole thing, they're running out of money. And they've only built 16 dispensaries. They have to build 150 to fulfill their contract. Oh, and on top of that, the lack of transparency all around this shady deal means nobody likes what's going on for this. This is not good for anybody. In fact, one lawyer says the fund is exploiting the most vulnerable New Yorkers to predatory exploitation. And he was deeply concerned that the deal is placing an outsized, unsustainable debt burden on licensees with the potential to extract all of their profit and then some. New York, you gotta do better. You gotta do better than this. Otherwise, we're gonna have a lot of problems coming up in the future.